The liquid culture.
What's up, friends? It is Pinot Noir Wednesday. Thank you for being here with me. My name is Mitchell Chirac, and this is the Liquid Culture. Super stoked about today's Pinot Noir Wednesday. I've got the second bottle all-time opened of Raen that I will be tasting. First time I had a bottle of Raen was when we were doing a Pinot Noir blind tasting, and I had the Royal St. Robert Sonoma Coast Appellation Raen Pinot Noir, and absolutely loved it. It was, in fact, it was my, I can't remember if it was my favorite or my second favorite bottle. If it was my second favorite, it only came in second place next to an A.F. Gross Von Romani Pinot Noir. But that goes to show you, I mean, it was a solid lineup of Pinots, and the Raen came out at least second place, if not first place for me. So super stoked to have this version here. This is the 2016 Home Field Vineyard from their Fort Ross-Seaview vineyard, Home Field Vineyard in Fort Ross-Seaview, which is in the Sonoma Coast. For those who are not familiar with Fort Ross-Seaview, tiny little appellation, only about 500 to 600 acres, planted to vine, mostly to Pinot Noir and Chardonnay there in Fort Ross-Seaview. It is a small appellation within the Sonoma Coast appellation, within Sonoma, within the north coast of California. So we are really dug down here into a vineyard designated site within a very small AVA within California. For those who are unfamiliar, Fort Ross-Seaview was granted AVA status just in 2011. Raen started in 2013. So really kind of came up together, so to speak, and still very much new kids on the block. Even though the vineyard sites have been planted there for quite a while, Fort Ross-Seaview is as a sub-AVA of Sonoma Coast is still relatively new. Things that are specific about Fort Ross-Seaview is elevation. It is a much higher elevation than the rest of the Sonoma Coast. The soils there are this very low-yielding, like decomposing sandstone kind of soils that are really good for drainage because there's a lot of rainfall that happens in the Sonoma Coast and in Fort Ross-Seaview in particular, almost double what they usually get in Russian River Valley just to the east of Fort Ross-Seaview. So high elevation, strong maritime influence. Some of these vineyards are planted only a few miles from the Sonoma Coast, where you're literally looking at the coast off of the cliffs of these vineyard sites in Fort Ross-Seaview. So very cool climate, maritime influence, high elevation. I know that the vineyard for this bottle is perched just on top of that fog line, so you've got some good sunshine that hits the vines in the morning, good kind of late summer heat that helps to kind of finalize the ripening of these grapes, but a very long growing season because of the cool temperatures. So if you were to think about this in terms of Burgundy, I would say probably just as cool as Burgundy with the additional influence of the Pacific Ocean. Really going to get some nice, interesting, cool climate Pinot Noir here. A little bit about Raen. So if you guys are unfamiliar with the Raen project, this was a project, again, started in 2013 by Carlo and Dante Mondavi. Mondavi sounds very familiar. Grandsons of Robert Mondavi fame. The family sold Robert Mondavi, kind of sold that out a while back. They branched off and started some different projects, and then Carlo and Dante started the Raen project, all on the Sonoma Coast. They make 3 different versions of Pinot Noir, all from Sonoma Coast, and a true Sonoma Coast, and a Chardonnay as well. So still young, very small production. They're very, very big on sustainability. If you watch any of Carlo's Instagram videos, he's always talking about sustainability in the vineyards, cover crops. He's very, very much on the forefront of getting pesticides and herbicides eliminated from the vineyard. So they're really, really big on that kind of natural wine making without being part of the natural wine dogma, so to speak. So, oh man, immediately this is like exploding with all kinds of incredible aromas out of the glass. Color, we're looking at just like the Pinot from last week, very classic Pinot color. Definitely can see through to my writing on the paper here. Beautiful kind of ruby, leaning towards garnet. This is a younger, Pinot, but immediately on the nose, I'm kind of wishing I had a second bottle to see how these aromas kind of change over time. But a little bit on this specific vineyard. So we're at 1,400 feet of elevation. Again, decomposing sandstone. Fermentation. It was whole cluster, 80% whole cluster, and fermentation was done with native yeast and 10% new French oak. The rest of the 90% neutral French oak. So we'll have that oxidative thing that happens with oak aging, but not the impartation of vanilla, toasty, baking spice kind of oak characteristics on the nose and on the palate. And then no fining or filtration before this wine was bottled. First thing that comes to mind is like an old-fashioned. If you've ever had one of those like smoked old fashions, or an old fashioned that has like a torched orange slice in it or something like that. I'm getting almost like dried orange with this kind of flinty, smoky characteristic. Some like worn like Chuck Taylor's kind of that leather rubber. Like shoe, like worn shoe, but not like bad feet smelling shoe, but like this worn leather. A little bit of spiciness, raspberry, some black tea, blackberry, brambly. It's a little brambly. Some kind of like a bloody meat, nice kind of iron-rich, bloody, raw, like a rare seared venison steak that's got that, you cut into it and you got some of that kind of bloody juiciness coming out on it. Real punchy on the palate, good strong acidity, but as opposed to last week's Pinot Noir, there's a little more tannin with this one. Overall palate is telling me that, overall structure is telling me that this wine could age. There's good tannin, lingering acidity, real long finish. I would still put this in about a medium-bodied category. Almost a little vegetal, bell peppery kind of note coming through. Really full. That's exceptional. The way that this has like a medium-bodied situation going on. But with nice full tannin, long finish, definitely up full on the mid palate. I mean, my entire tongue is coated with flavor. That spiced, torched orange peel with a little bit of that bell pepper. It's interesting, those fruity like berry characteristics come through both on the nose and the palate, come through way at the end. It's like underripe raspberry, like kind of tart raspberry on the back of the palate, but still good kind of meaty mid palate, strong tannin, definitely food pairing wine. Okay, so I set the stage in the first Pinot Noir Wednesday video I shot last week. We got two benchmark meals that I always kind of push Pinot Noir to and say, can it do that? I don't want to put this on the Thanksgiving table I think this is a little bit too complex, a little bit too serious of a Pinot Noir to put on a Thanksgiving table and at about $100 a bottle. I don't know that, that Thanksgiving table thing's kind of tough. Who's been drinking Bloody Marys all day while they're frying the turkey? Who's already, a bottle and a half deep on the stuff that was popped before we started eating? Usually the Thanksgiving dinner table is the wine that I want to put like in the $30 category that's got lots of punch to it, but that isn't overly complex. So I wouldn't put this one on the Thanksgiving dinner table. I would put this one in the duck category. I'm thinking, because of that orange, duck l'orange. So that nice kind of classic French pairing of duck with orange gastrique kind of sauce going on, slight sweet character to it. But I'm thinking definitely going with the seared duck breast, get that fatty skin nice and crisp. Medium rare to go with that kind of bloody iron gamey thing that's on the nose. So you've got that medium rare center, nice crisp seared skin on the outside with a nice kind of orange gastrique sauce over the top. I'm even thinking, what are we thinking sides-wise? Sides-wise. Roasted potatoes sound good. Maybe a... Ooh, wild rice. I'm thinking wild rice with some nuts in it. So that seared duck breast, orange sauce, wild rice. It's got that earthy, maybe some mushrooms and nuts mixed in there. Maybe some dried fruit to kind of go with the orange character. That's the play here. Wild rice. Man, second bottle of Raen Pinot that I've had, really blowing me away. They're quickly becoming one of my favorite California producers. I think that Fort Ross-Seaview AVA is definitely one to keep an eye out for Pinot Noir and Chardonnay. Raen definitely producers to keep an eye out for if you want to drop the cash on a bottle of Pinot from the New World. If you're a Burgundy snob, I think this one will kind of itch that scratch that you have for something a little bit more elegant, refined. But I think at a 2016 vintage, will this wine age? Yes. But is it definitely drinkable now? Also yes. So if you've got a bunch of 16 Burgundy sitting in your cellar that you're not ready to pop just yet, but you are looking for a Burgundy-esque Pinot Noir, this is your guy right here. Thank you guys for being here with me again on another episode of Pinot Noir Wednesday. I'm really stoked to start getting some Pinot Noir out to you guys because I know that it's been one of those things where I take Pinot Noir very seriously, and I didn't know how I wanted to approach it on the site. So I'm glad that I found a way to do that and really give it the credit that the grape deserves. So, all right, Mitchell Chirac, Liquid Culture, we out. See you next time.